autumn. What happens when you get this bunch of flowers here on the cordyline is that it starts to multi-branch. It kind of divides. You can see there's 1, 2, 3 heads developing on there. So it's good news when you get a flower bud there, because that's going to encourage the stem to kind of branch out and give you that lovely kind of crown of foliage there. Unless of course you want a long single stem, and then, well, you're stuffed really. So I'm going to crack on now and take some more of these leaves off. Whoa, what an evening. Feels like summer in the middle of May, and we're looking at our Cordyline palm tree here, one of the hardiest palms in the UK. Very popular, probably the most popular palm tree. Perhaps not a true palm tree, in as much as it hasn't got a palmate leaf. It's got those long, kind of narrow, but exotic Mediterranean looking leaves there, very graceful, kind of curve to the leaves. And you can see that big white bunch of flowers just breaking out. They're lovely. Well, some people might think it's lovely, some people, I suppose it's down to your taste, but it's definitely a strong perfume on those flowers, much loved by the bees. Lovely plant to have, to give some hint of the Mediterranean, something exotic in your garden, and really quite easy and quite quick to grow. That one there was planted as a young seedling. Not much bigger than this little fella here. Probably about 8 years ago, something like that. Actually, this little chappy here is like a mother and child reunion here. This one here is a seedling from that the flowers that come every year. So last year or the year before, we collected some of the seed in the autumn, and we've managed to raise 50, maybe more than 50 seedlings every year from that mother plant. So now, what we need to do is to remove some of those yellow untidy leaves at the bottom, and give this Cordyline palm, also known as the Torbay palm, we're going to give it a bit of a kind of a short back and sides. And this is the time to do it, really, is after the winter. With a pair of scissors, I'm going to leave a short stump of a leaf behind, because that's the way that I like to do it. I don't like to tear the leaves off. You could probably give them a good old pull and try and yank them away from the stem, but I think it's better to cut them off rather than kind of tear them off. Get a nice clean cut. There we are. You can see what we're doing here. Leaving the green leaves above there, and just working our way around. You can almost see where the palm leaf wants to come away, so it's kind of inviting you really telling you where to cut them some of the times. It's as if the plant was talking. This is a lovely time of the day to do some slightly strenuous gardening in the evening, and you might see some dead leaves on your palm tree in the autumn. I tend to like to leave them on over the winter. I could be wrong, but I feel that they do give a little bit of protection. If we got a hard, cold winter, that little extra layer of leaves around the trunk might just give them a little bit more protection. So I tend to do this job in the spring, when we're past the really cold weather. There's some really brown leaves there we can take off. They've been there for a year or two. Oh, look, some of them are falling off. Yeah, so leave some foliage on over the winter, and then in the spring you can cut off the leaves like this, and it'll put on lots and lots of new growth through the summer, and that should ripen off, toughen up a little bit in the autumn. What happens when you get this bunch of flowers here on the cordyline is that it starts to multi-branch. It kind of divides. You can see there's 1, 2, 3 heads developing on there, so it's good news when you get a flower bud there, because that's going to encourage the stem to kind of branch out and give you that lovely kind of crown of foliage there. Unless of course you want a long single stem, and then, well, you're stuffed really. So I'm going to crack on now and take some more of these leaves off. You can see as we're taking these leaves off, you're kind of getting that lovely kind of palm tree trunk there developing. It's like being a little bit like being in the Caribbean or the Mediterranean, but you'd wait a long time for a coconut to fall out of one of these boys. There we are. She's looking better now. Looks rather lovely. There's a couple more leaves to come off, and just from here, and then we're going to get all these leaves that we've cut off into the compost bin. There's a couple of leaves that are falling at the wrong angle here. I'm just going to take them out. There we are. That's great. So now we pick up these leaves, and it seems like a bit of a waste. I do sometimes wonder whether or not some of these leaves, they're so fibrous that you could perhaps kind of make some kind of string almost out of this, some twine. But I prefer to buy my twine and make some compost. So we're going to shove these in the compost bin and rot them down for some compost next year. So there we are. One short back and sides for the Cordyline palm, and the final treat for this fella is to give it some fertilizer. You know, if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know that I love my high potash, slow release fertilizers. There we are. That'll wash down through the summer. High potash, as well as encouraging flowers, it works, will also toughen up the leaves. If you've got something a little bit tender, like these palm trees, a little bit of high potash rather than high nitrogen. High nitrogen encourages lots of lush, soft, glossy, lovely leaves, but they can be a bit tender going into the winter. So I like to use these high potash feeds, because as well as encouraging the flowers, they will help toughen up the leaves going into the winter. There we are. Hope that makes sense. Hope that's of help to you. Please let us know what you think. Ask any questions via our YouTube channel. Speak to you soon. Bye.